recorded this 4 million times now, but this is definitely the last one. Hello and welcome to Celtic Ligers. This is Gareth, and I'm just popping in at the start to offer some context. Number one, it is labelled as episode 51, It's Tony Bitch. But it's actually episode 54, It's Tony Bitch. Me and James recorded a bunch of episodes in bulk. He came up, and then I guess we didn't know when he'd be able to get up again, so we recorded a bunch of episodes, and a lot of them with content that wasn't time sensitive, but this one did have some time sensitive stuff in it, so I thought, fuck it, I'll edit this one up and release it. But as a result, we make references to things which probably don't have a lot of context or make a lot of sense, but true fans will appreciate. And you get to hear me and James discover in real time about the possibility of a level 5 nationwide lockdown. So look out for that. But the first thing that we talk about is we've just gotten off the phone with John Cullen of Blocked Party, who is our first guest. And it was a really good podcast, and that's dropping later in this week for your listening pleasure. So if you hear us talking about John Cullen or John or a guy, whatever, getting off the phone with a guy called John, then that's why it's happening. This episode's running long, so I don't want to make it any longer. So the next thing as well is from another episode that we recorded. We talk about Biden, Jim Carrey's Biden on Saturday Night Live. So I've isolated that as a 10-minute clip, and I'm going to upload that separately again for your listening pleasure. But anyway, let's not dilly-dazzle any long dilly-dazzle. Let's get to the meat of the episode. Welcome to It's Tony Bitch. So here we are, we're recording another podcast because James insisted. We've literally just gotten
You're
off
so lazy.
the phone with John Cullen. It's not that. It's just be like
it's the easiest
just
fucking
be chill,
thing
man.
in the world. It's like
it's not. Actually.
we would talk
it's
for an hour anyway,
hard.
wouldn't we?
We would, but
About the same thing.
But it is funny because, like, you remember when we recorded like Cyberpod? That was genuinely exhausting, and I think it was because we were like really trying to like do something, whereas now we're literally just having conversations. So it means that we could probably have like 3 podcasts and a day if we were committed to it.
Yeah, which we should be committed to. Doing podcasts.
Well, it would annoy me because the whole appeal of the podcast is that it kind of talks about Irish politics and social media and stuff like that, and comedy. So to me, like, you need to be talking about, like, the things that you get from like Michael and us or Chap or Trap House or whatever, and you're listening to them and they talk about some of the week's events, and then they go into the more general stuff. But then if we record too many, then it means we can't talk about the week's or day's events.
Yeah, but we record general ones so that if we ever miss one, we have something. And there's no panic.
Well, now we have 2, and we're recording another one.
What's the second one?
The Brexit one.
What's the first one?
The one we recorded today.
That's an auxiliary one. That's not to replace anything.
Well, it could be.
It shouldn't be.
Alright, fine.
Because the idea is that we don't have any guests.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
When we started this up, the idea was that we weren't going to have guests.
Yeah.
And that one was a publicity one, so I'm happy to do it. But
sorry, John.
What?
In case John's listening. Like, we were using you.
John's like, hey, yeah, maybe I'll check this podcast out. And I'm like, don't put that out as a main one.
No, that one's a main one. We're putting out John.
It's not a main one.
Huh?
That's not a main one.
It is. As in, it's going to go free on the main.
Yeah, but it's not to replace.
Oh, it's not to replace an episode. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I think he'd even be fine with that. Us saying that.
Yeah.
Like, it was very, like,
sexual.
Just extraneous. This is whatever. Like, he posted something. I thought, oh, come on our podcast. Because I like his podcast.
We're open.
And then as soon as he agreed, I was like, what have I done? Like, I was more like, does this serve him? No, because there's not. Does it serve us? Like,
maybe.
I mean, maybe, but like an Irish politics podcast, it seems like not really like something. That,
that's true. We should draw up a cheat sheet, of guests we could have on.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that would bother me, like, because we said, like, oh, imagine Michael and us, imagine like Luke Savage or Will Sloan on. then I would feel tremendous pressure because it would feel like I was an authority on Irish politics. But then when I think about it, Trash Future did have on Michael Fry, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that was so disappointing. It's like, why the fuck did they get Michael Fry? It's because he writes for
Like,
Joe.ie.
Does he write for Joe.ie?
Maybe I'm thinking, I thought he did.
I thought he was like some Vine guy, and that was
he
it.
like made memes for Joe.ie. He's the meme queen of Joe.ie.
I got to listen to the podcast, but it was also too painful to listen because I was like,
I'm not listening to that shit.
like, full disrespect to Michael Fry, obviously.
And Trash Future. Yeah, come on.
I'm coming around to it, unfortunately. I do like Trash Future, but I'm getting to a point where it's like, fuck, I can't listen to this. I can't listen to it. And a lot of it is like, I liked it when they were talking about politics.
Yeah.
But now they're kind of like, they talk about like Silicon Valley tech stuff, which I guess was always the remit of the podcast, but because of the election at the time, it meant that they were talking more about, Corbyn and the whole project.
Yeah. You're like, why are they talking about the trash and the future?
That's exactly what I thought. No, I mean, like, it is a good podcast. It's just, I don't know. I think I might have to get off the train with it. I don't think I enjoy it that much.
What was the last thing they talked about?
The last thing I heard them talk about, or the last thing they talked about?
The last thing you heard them.
God, I can't fucking remember. Oh my god. All I can remember is there's like a woman who had like a jam company. Do you remember that thing?
No.
She was making like, it was like, that raw water thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like the equivalent to that. It's like homegrown jam, that's just like jam.
Raw jam.
Like, it was something, I'm not joking, it was like homemade jam, but it was like meant to be kind of boutique-y and new agey. And she had like, obviously, like an app or places you buy the fucking jam from. And then I guess her business got audited, and then they went into this place and they found like just these vats of jam caked in like layers of mold, like just absolute disgusting. Didn't give a shit about anything she was doing with the jam, and this is going out to like customers and shit, and they were just, that's kind of the common thread with what they talk about.
Do you ever see the guy who invented Soylent?
No.
It's like that drink, and it's supposed to be good for every meal of the day.
Okay.
And then, but it's like somehow not a food, it's like a supplement. And then I think Vice or someone did a tour of their factory, and they were like, there's like rats crawling like in the vats and stuff. Like, they didn't even shoo the rats away. They were just like, hey, no stopping them.
Well, even that raw water stuff, like what they're essentially doing is like, we take it before it's been filtered and all the fucking shit's been taken out of it, and you just get this pure thing. And it's, part conspiratorial. They're literally as bad as like anti-maskers and stuff. And maybe there's some new agey people within the anti-mask thing, probably a lot. But just the idea that like there's a level of purity, and everything that we get away from that is just watering it down, destroying it. Why would you put that into your body? And then what reveals is that these people largely don't buy into it at all. Do you know what I mean?
But it's also like, they were like, let's just get the water. But then like, one of the issues with modern water is that it's full of cow shit. It's full of like fertilizer.
Yeah.
So it would like go off because it would just turn pure green because of all the algae in it, because there was so much fertilizer in it.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, I thought that, I was like, oh, and they made the juice loosener, and I was like, no, wait, they didn't. They made the what's the smoothie thing?
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't even a smoothie thing. The intelligent
Juicero.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I realized the juice loosener is from The Simpsons,
Yeah.
Are you sure? I can't hear a thing. Wow, all that juice from just one bag of oranges?
Yeah. There's got to be an easier way.
Yeah. You mean there? Great show. Great show. I don't know if it's been said enough, but The Simpsons, very funny,
What I like is that they're yellow.
You know why they're yellow?
Yes. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
It's because they're jaundiced.
Yes. I mean, yeah. No, it's apparently because Matt Groening wanted people to think their TV was broken. Because the colours in that TV on the old show used to look so garish, What were we talking about anyway in relation to...
So he wanted people to be like, spend all their money on new TVs.
Yeah, because they'd just be like punching their TVs, freaking out, They're like, how can those cartoons get in there, you know?
How come that man is so fat? As they say it over.
And his wife, her hair.
Yeah.
Oh!
Just craning their necks, staring at the sky.
Just like trying to follow the line of the hair and just going up towards the ceiling of their house. Where'd it go?
Yeah. That man is so fat, and his wife is so beautiful.
Unfair. That's what I say.
What's her number?
Do you remember when they got Marge to do a fucking Playboy cover?
No.
They did a Playboy centerfold of Marge.
Whenever I saw a poster and it was all the Simpsons nude, right? And they were like, but selectively covering each other's genitals.
Mm-hmm.
But then Maggie was just completely nude. And you could see everything.
You see everything. No, that can't be true.
Well, like, I mean, they didn't draw in detail. But, like, she was just, like, she wasn't covered up at all.
Yeah.
It was really weird. I felt very uncomfortable.
I always find it from the Simpsons movie where you see Bart's dick.
Yeah, it's funny. Simpsons. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The slow-mo.
Just thrusting.
You're just like, I'm making a gift for this.
This isn't like the other. Is this one canon? Because there's some other stuff I've seen with Bart.
Yeah. Which one is canon?
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah.
Subreddit developed to it.
Yeah. I saw a thing, you know. No, this is useless.
No, go for it.
No, it's not rude. It's just so boring. It shouldn't even be said, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a guy, Ben Yahtzee Croshaw, who does this video game review series called Zero Punctuation, and he's very private, and he's very kind of deadpan and kind of withdrawn, you know. And they keep trying to make him like the figurehead of the escapist website.
Yeah.
So he's like, they're like, we just made a documentary about Yahtzee, and then people underneath were like, that wasn't very revealing, and he's like, he didn't really want to talk to us about all that much. And they keep trying to put him front and center. You love Yahtzee? Well, you better come to this website. And every time like people are talking to him, he hates that people are talking to him. So they have like a stream, and it's like literally Jack Packer's like, we just got a question asking Yahtzee, what do you do to, you know, what is your page a day strategy for being productive? He's like, just do a thing a day, I guess.
Yeah.
He's like really grumpy, you know. But anyhow, like I said,
he's like, I draw Bart's dick every day.
But he's just deeply private. And then what ended up happening, I found a clip of like, he's Twitch streaming with his wife, you know. He's like, oh, and you're being very silly today, you know. And then she goes, shut up, it's just my pregnant brain. And then she like trails off, and he's like, almost like you see the stare that he gives her, like why did you say that? You know what I mean? Because of all the people who are going to be hassling him about his girlfriend being pregnant. And then sure enough, I found this on like a Reddit page, and I was like, congrats, yeah, she's pregnant. Like they're just freaking out about it, and he's just can tell that he would absolutely hate that so much. You know?
That's so funny. The
most reluctant online internet personality, you know.
Have you ever seen that guy James Hoffman? He's like some coffee loser. He's, he does all these. He's like an English guy, and he reviews coffee stuff. And he did a Q&A, and he was like, just to start this off, I got some very concerning questions about my personal life. Yeah. And it's like, this guy reviews like fucking coffee cups. Yeah. And people are just like, where do you live? You know? It's like, he's like, I'm not going to answer any of that. So just so you know, I never will tell you anything about myself. It's like...
Why do people lead that? Like, because I know that feeling from when I was a teenager. I really wanted to know so badly every detail about their lives, you know, the inner working. And now they're gonna like, now I'm just like, I just enjoy the thing that they make.
I'm not so sure that's true, Gareth.
Maybe you're right, actually.
Like, you knew where Canadian guy A lived. And where he,
that's different.
And where he moved to.
No, I mean, like, that's different because, like, Canadian guy A is like, he himself is the obsession. Do you know what I mean? Not the stuff he produces. Whereas like people like, you know, Chopper Trap House, Red Letter Media, you know, things that I would watch.
You know everything about Chopper Trap
Yeah, I know, but that's why I was kind of agreeing with you then towards the end. But I'm just saying that like less so than Canadian Guy A. That's not a good example
Right.
of my bizarre obsession with people and what they do. I am very obsessed with Matt Christman's wife. I want to know,
That's crazy. Like, I don't even know if I knew he was married. And you're like, I don't know anything about him. Like, his
actually,
wife
she
is...
featured on an episode of the podcast.
When?
I don't know, probably the early days, because when it was taken off and they were like, hey, this is cute, and maybe I'll bring in my wife just to say, here's my wife.
Yeah.
Now the idea of him doing that, he would be like, no fucking way, those
Yeah.
animals introduced my wife.
Yeah, we should bring our wives on sometime.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Our big fat wives.
So, yeah. Speaking of people who definitely have wives,
Yeah.
James watched a documentary about... That's a good segue, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So I guess these ones are a bit more of a rambler type episode. Do you know what I mean? So we have timeless things that we talk about on these, and we pull them out of the vault when we have a fucking tough one. Do you know what I mean? Tough week of not recording.
Yeah. You want to answer that text?
No, it was not a very pleasant text to see.
Oh, really?
It was Kayla saying, did you see that we might be back in full lockdown? Crying face.
Oh.
I was like, no.
When?
I don't know, I can ask. But not a nice thing to hear. I'm going to say it, you know?
Yeah.
Controversial opinion. I don't really like that. You know. But, yeah, sorry. So
No,
tell me
I'm
about this
sorry.
documentary.
I don't want to go into full lockdown.
I'm going to say Leo fucked it. And the legacy of Radker is such.
Leo is in charge.
Doesn't matter. Leo saw the virus was nearly eradicated and was like, well, as good boys, we'll open up more of the economy for people and we can start getting shit going again. And look what happened. Like, that's just, if you told me, here, look, I know it's tough, but wait a month longer, we'll eradicate the virus and be able to open up properly, instead of accelerating it, which he did, and instead of not cracking down on meat plants, which he also didn't do, not protecting. Now they're not doing it again either, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is a continuation of what Leo started, and it was a vanity project.
Yeah.
It was him saving. It was him being the guy who brought us through the virus, and look, fuck him, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. My brain can't handle full lockdown again. Like,
No.
I really feel like I'm in full lockdown. I'm honest, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't drive. I'm trapped in this house most of the time, and yeah, and like people were giving out recently about like Spanish Arch being overrun in Galway. It's like, man, they're going to send us back into lockdown. It's like, that Spanish Arch thing is not going to be what sends us back into lockdown. It's
Yeah.
the fucking meat barons. It's multitude of other things.
That's it. It's just the media trying to reduce something very complex down to like one person you can blame.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like, I am surprised they haven't tried to blame some, you know, the Travellers or Roma or something like that. Do you know what
I
I mean?
am. Well, Roma for sure, because Roma, like, you could do well. You know, actually, the infection rate in the Roma community very high, and they live in close proximity to each other and in city centres. You know,
Yes.
but instead they have sidestepped that.
And I'm down in Kerry. They're all insane. They're all talking about how, because they don't have Norman blood in Kerry, that they're all immune.
Okay. No, I mean, like, I do feel that there are large chunks of Ireland who believe that, look, we're a little hardier than those other countries,
Yeah.
let's be honest, you know?
Yeah.
No, and for the record as well, I don't... I said that about Roma there, but that was the news, how they would react.
Sure.
But I don't give a shit. Because I don't think that they are incubators or hotspots or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously those conditions encourage the virus, but there's different things working against that community that are forcing them into those conditions. So I don't think it's their fault. Do you know?
Right. But you do think they're causing it?
I think if you did research, maybe they would be causing some of it, but I don't think it wouldn't be like. Oh,
Kevin here.
I don't think you can point to like
yeah.
direct correlation. Here's a spike and there's a Roma community there. It's like, no, in high density population areas, you're going to see a lot of cases because people are living on top of each other.
Yeah.
And that's not specific to the Roma community.
No.
But exactly as you're saying, I am surprised that minority groups haven't been as targeted as they were. Although I do think that the protests that are happening in the marches against the anti-mask marches,
Oh, they're definitely racist.
they're definitely wink wink nudge nudge at that. Like, they're overtly racist, but when it comes to that type of stuff, it'd be like, well, I don't know, I think we need to ask ourselves questions, you know.
Yeah. It's amazing no one will blame. You were afraid to blame the Roma, but no one's afraid to blame Dubs.
That's because, well, no, and again, I don't think it's people in Dublin's fault. I think it's that
Thank
they're
you.
living on top of each other.
And it's also not true. But
Well, it's not true insofar as like Kildare and like fucking Cork and like all
right.
these places. I mean,
Like, I've been carrying one guy wouldn't go to the pub with me.
really?
Still from Dublin.
Okay.
It's racist.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, okay. All right, why not? Yeah, it's racist. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to find it very hard to get worked up about Dublin people being
That's because you're racist.
being made feel othered by people from the country.
Yeah. There's more. We're a minority. Literally, we are.
Yeah, the biggest
And the fucking-
population centre in the country, do you know?
Yeah, we gotta keep together, look after ourselves. They'd eat you out there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Always laughed at you behind your back. You know what I mean? You know,
Why not?
because
So, what was it? There was one other thing. Was there any like thing in the news that people are talking about?
yeah,
like-
we start again. It's very low.
This is great. I'm not starting again. I love this podcast.
okay.
This is you're calling me out for saying it. I'm defending this podcast, this particular
Hey.
episode.
Okay, if you like it.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm just saying.
I'm gonna try to get you to say something that will cause you to delete this.
Trump's got COVID. I mentioned that. I recorded a
Yes.
little insert.
I was like, I hope
Yeah.
he dies, and then someone was like, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's like
I would.
I'd wish it on him.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of moral flack from one person in my life at the moment.
Who's that? Or sorry,
What?
can't say who that is.
Yeah.
But like,
Like-
what type of flack?
Like that, and he said I was evil once, or he said like the way I talked to my friends was like bullying them, and just a few other things. I was just like, I don't give a shit what you think of me, you know?
But you come out to my friends, you know.
Yeah.
No,
you,
I mean-
you can do anything to my friends, but you come to me, you say anything to me, I'll kill you. You can shoot my friends, you can steal their money, you can say anything about them, you can defame them.
Yeah, I think like, I don't know. One of the things I really liked about Trump having COVID, and by the time this episode comes out, he probably won't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But the thing that the media will do, and obviously we'll wish him a speedy recovery, and people have been giving out about that. But in
Yeah.
the next sentence they'll do is they'll talk about why he's at risk, and the first thing they do, and of course, like, the president is morbidly obese, and he's also old.
He is.
And he's morbidly obese, but it is funny that they really love, like, great, now we get to talk about how fucking fat he is. you know?
Yeah, that's true. He did a really weird thing in that address. You know, he addressed the nation.
I didn't see that.
Did you not?
No.
He looks shocked. And he's like sitting in the hospital at the desk. There's two flags.
Mm.
And he's like, hey, thanks everyone. And then he's like,
He's definitely low energy for sure, yeah.
yeah. So you have seen it.
No, I've seen, like a...
It was like a 4-minute video he put up.
Well, I didn't watch 4 minutes. I watched, like, maybe 5 seconds or something.
And then he was like, they brought me here. They said I could lock myself away, but I decided not to. That you have to keep meeting people. It's like, you shouldn't be meeting people. Even if you're in hospital, you should not be meeting people. And then he's like, and then he did this really weird thing where he was like, Melania's doing really well. She's a little bit younger than me. So statistically, she is likely to do better. And statistically, she is doing as would be expected.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is he trying to say there? Like, he could just
Backdoor
say,
compliment.
what?
Backdoor brag. You know what I mean?
Like,
I know, my wife is actually younger than me. I don't know if you're aware, you know.
but he was trying to play down how much younger. He was trying to be like, she's doing better than me. but not by anything not of her own will, by virtue of her being younger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So was he trying to be like, I'm strong for my age,
Maybe.
or something?
I loved you see those tapes of Melania that were leaked recently?
No.
It was quite good, actually. She had a friend who just was like constantly recording their conversations and now has released them for a tell-all book deal.
Really? That's what I'm doing with you. That's what this is.
But she like I was like, I heard the first one, I was like, hey, this, she's making some alright points here. And then I heard the next one, I was like, oh no, she's a monster.
What was she saying?
So the first thing she goes like, I hate this Christmas shit. I don't want to have to do all this,
Yeah, fair enough.
She's like, I don't want, like, the first lady responsibilities are just to being this kind of fucking mother to the nation. She hates it. And she's like, they say, I do the Christmas tree shit, which I don't want to do. And then they comment underneath it, what about the kids in the cages? And then I go to try to solve the kids in the cages. Red tape, you can't do it. I can't fucking reunite this kid,
Oh, really?
And so, and she was like, and then would the liberal media cover that? And you think you're into dangerous territory when she says that. And then she goes, they won't cover that. And then they say, bring it to Fox News. I don't want to bring it to Fox News. And it was the real kind of moment of just like,
Weird.
if I bring it to Fox News, this is bullshit. Like this, it becomes a shitty story,
She's saying this?
Yeah, she's saying this.
That's so weird.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's great. And then like the next clip was about, and actually, sleeping on the floor, they love it. She's like, they're told to lie when they come up that they're being chased by, gangs and stuff. And I was just like, okay, right, well, that was a shame, But what she's saying is 100% true, which is that the
They
first
love
lady
it.
stuff is...
They love sleeping on the floor.
No, but the other thing she said, she's like, if Michelle Obama did the fucking Christmas stuff, nobody would say anything.
Who?
But you know what I mean? Like, she did the kind of, fat kids playing basketball bullshit.
Who did that?
Huh.
Who?
Michelle Obama.
Hmm?
What are you talking
What
about?
did she? What is her real name?
Michelle
Hello,
Obama. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Sorry, I forgot. Thanks for reminding me. Well, Michelle Obama is like, you know what I mean? She wouldn't get flack for that, and it's like
No way.
nobody would be commenting underneath. Why don't your husband's drones? Why don't you call them off?
Yes.
You fucking bitch.
Where's his Beamer?
Yeah. Where's his beamer? I'm never gonna get this beamer thing. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, this is American politics, which I'm getting really pissed off that we're talking so much
It's
about.
just so weird to... I know, but it's so weird to think of her speaking in complete sentences. Like
Yeah.
Melania Trump.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I don't think I've ever heard her speak.
No, I hadn't until that was recording.
I don't think I've ever seen her like change her facial expression.
No. I think she's like, she knows her angles and she's just like, I'm not going to be caught looking like shit in the camera angle.
Yeah.
And so far, she hasn't, you know what I mean? Not my type, but you can't deny she's like a good looking lady and she knows how to look good in front of a camera,
Yeah.
But she was apparently, do you remember when she
Shoot
wore...
your shot.
Huh?
Shoot your shot, why not? She might be listening.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
But like...
Now you're nagging her.
you remember she wore like some jumper at the camps?
Yeah.
And it was
that's
literally
right.
like, I don't care or something like
Yeah.
that. Apparently that was intentional.
It was.
That's what these phone call recordings reveal.
Yeah, of course it was. Like, you would have to be brain dead not
Yeah,
to.
I guess I just thought, because I hadn't really heard her speak and, maybe she was just like, whatever, it's just got writing on it, who gives a shit,
Yeah, she probably can't even read English, you were thinking.
I
Where's
didn't think that, I just thought that the words might be
Slovenia?
lost. There was an Italian restaurant in Dublin called like, God, what the fuck was it? It was called like
Obi Maurizio.
something Culo. Like Fafanculo or something.
No.
Anyway, the point is it's a slang apparently in Italian for somebody who's gay, okay? And they call them like a cheap ass or something like that. Or a broke ass, that's it. It's meant to be broke because obviously your ass is like loose or whatever,
Right.
So that's why it's a kind of disparaging remark against gay people. So she decided to call her restaurants whatever this word
She
is.
decided to call it like gaping ass.
Yeah, but like
Gaping ass pizza.
But apparently, as far as she's concerned, that just means like you're a deadbeat, like you're a broke ass. You know what I mean?
Wait, was she Irish or?
No, she was Italian.
No way she thought that.
Well, this is what happens. So people would leave Yelp reviews, and it's like, as an Italian speaker, you really shouldn't have it, and
Yeah.
then it's very offensive. And she read like crying laughing emoji, You don't know what it is. Cheap ass is something else. This means something else.
She's lying.
Yeah, I know. That's what they're like. You can't change the meaning of words. And she was like, fuck off my page. Stop wasting my time.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she gets so angry at them, and she's like, it's a state of mind you don't understand,
Really?
But I guess that's what I thought. Like,
she's like the Italian white moose guy. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that guy sucks. I hate him.
I hate him too. But like, that was what I thought Melania was, where it's like, what? It's just a stupid word on a jumper. Who cares? No, I'm not going to change it because you asked me. All right, now shut up. I didn't think it was a calculated message against the detainees of this camp or the media covering it, but apparently it was.
Well, what did it say again? It was like no.
It was like
cares.
what me care or something like that.
Yes. What me care. That's Slovenians for you. And fucking right.
Care. What was it?
Are you sure? It's definitely just going to be correct English. And you were like racistly disparaging Slovenia.
I wasn't. I just thought it was like some dumb thing that you. Oh, it is. I really don't care. Do you?
Okay, so it wasn't me no care or whatever.
Me Tarzan, new chain.
What did you say it was again?
What me care? No, because there's a slogan for Mad Magazine which is what me worry, and I thought like it might be something like that for this. Honestly, but whatever. Believe what you want. I don't care. What me? I really don't care. Do you?
Believe me, what?
Believe me. Do I really? I don't care. So fuck American politics. I want to talk
anymore about that. Closed.
Cineworld's closed. Workers being fucked over again.
They found out on the TV or on the news. Didn't get paid their redundancy.
Leo, can I just I know this sounds like it's not related, okay, but like, all these people are just making murmurings of like, well, we got to protect our workers, and the only thing that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, all that we can do is just kind of tut the banks or all of these institutions. And be like. They
wouldn't even mention the banks. Like, do you know what I mean? They don't even criticize Debenhams. They're just like, all we can do is say that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but like again, it's just going to be the story of this fucking year and beyond. Places closing, businesses who are clearly in profit, who just are like don't want to give the redundancies rather than can't give the redundancies, and it's just going to keep happening because they don't give a shit. And hopefully, more people will take to the streets and we'll be able to do something about this. But anyway, so Leo has been in lockdown because he had COVID symptoms, or he had to wait on the results of a COVID test.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you think it would be like a sweet
relief. See that hilarious picture of him with the fridge magnets.
The fridge magnets, where he looks like absolute shit.
Did we talk about that?
We've talked about him looking like absolute shit. But like, but he like
looking at the magnets.
But he's filmed more stuff, and he's like, people have been like, two things that he did. One was he said Sinn Féin are saying to do something down here, but then they govern a different way up north. What's with that? And it's like, I guess Westminster has nothing to say about anything that goes on up there. It's all fucking Sinn Féin,
Yeah.
And then secondly, he tweeted out something. He tweeted out this video, and it was driving me crazy watching it.
What was the video?
It was like him talking about, well, I'm nearly at the end of my lockdown, so I can finally head back, but I've been keeping busy. I'm, doing all the shit that I normally do. And he's like, I had a very productive meeting, and they were like, one of them was that, with rents. So Owen O'Brien put forward a thing saying, rent freeze for 3 years. Let's just get this prevent it. And then everybody voted against it, and they're like, no, that's ridiculous because it strips landlords' rights away. And now we're heading back into another fucking lockdown, and it's like, they just don't care. And so anyways, he said this, and they were kind of scoffing at it, like, you can't have a 3-year rent freeze. And then Leo was like, we're working very hard. We met with like various landlord agencies, and we've now kind of made the case to them to please just be nice to the tenants and to not evict them. And I was like, good job. And then he's like, and now we're coming up with a proposal to put forward for sick pay, you know, so it's all work, you know, putting forward a proposal for sick pay, should be heard mid next year, and we can get on that. And I was like,
mid next year?
Yeah, I know. And proposal, like not even like legislation or something. Here's do you want to do this? No. Okay.
Hey,
you know,
talk to me in 6 months.
and he's like, but don't worry, 6 months. Like, I mean, I can't get over it. And he's doing this, and then people are like, fair play, Leo, you know what I mean, in the comments. And he like, I don't know, it's just so, you just feel like you're insane. Like, are we looking at, like, me and Kayla went to a restaurant, okay? And we went in there because, you know, people are like, oh, you can go to restaurants now. And then we go inside, and then there's like visors, you know, up around everything. And then the person's wearing a mask, and there's no music playing, so you don't talk over anything that's too loud, you know. And we're just like sitting there eating our meal, and do you not feel like, are we watching the end of something? Like everything's just burning and falling apart, and we're like, oh, can I get a profiterole, please? You know?
Yes.
And I just feel like this is the same thing now. It's happened with everything's like falling apart. And everybody is in the media is just going like, surely this isn't the case, is it, Minister? And I was like, oh yes, it is, but we're going to continue to do that. And obviously there's nothing we can do. And obviously Sinn Féin, they should be doing more up north. And you're like, well, if you can't do anything, then why the fuck should they be expected to do anything? It's just so like weird. And it's like, how much longer can this go on? How much longer can this government sustain? I just want it to be like, if we can go to a restaurant, we can go to the fucking polls, okay? If people can go back to school, they can go back to the fucking polls, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're just continuing on as if everything is like fine, you know?
Yeah.
And it means that fucking Leo is going to be Taoiseach again in 2 years. We're going to be back with Leo as Taoiseach. How many more things need to happen? Like Darcy jumping ship in the worst way possible. The fucking Oireachtas golf dinner. You know, all of the stuff that the Green Party is voting against. You know,
it's just complete failure to meet the moment.
Yeah.
At every possible level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, and then the Leave Insert. And the Leave Insert's fucked as well. The one thing that was actually like, oh, they actually did like, right, is fucked.
At least with the Leave Insert, they tried something radical and fucked it up.
Spectacular.
But at least someone was like, this is an issue we've got to sort out. How do we do it? And then they fucked up. Wouldn't it be amazing if they like fucked up rent freeze? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know,
if they fucked up.
It was like, oh
pay.
Man, it's only for 6 months and it's only at capped at this level. It was like, yeah, but it would actually be something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But instead, it's like, they're like, we're not even going to touch that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a complete. I sometimes wonder if they're just like, it's not our job. Do you know what I mean? If they're like, it's not our job to sort the big issues, or I can't be expected. It feels like they're just trying to keep the job that they have and not try to do anything extra. And that is so scary because, like.
But I don't know. They don't feel any obligation to keep the job they have. They just know it's a given. And I think like it's pure plunder at this stage. It's like we can't go back with junior ministers, up our salaries to Celtic Tiger levels, and now we have like more fucking advisors than, you know, anybody
like,
could lead
even
in a
on a
lifetime.
symbolic level.
Yeah.
How can they talk about, you know, future austerity and the lack of money?
Yeah.
While also paying themselves the same amount as during the richest time in history.
Yeah.
Like, how can your brain hold those two things?
Well, it's just pure panic is what I think it is. I think it's literally like the game is up. What the fuck are we going to do? Everybody out for themselves. And this is what it looks like when everybody's all in on protecting their own nest, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I always thought like the Irish public is pretty passive. They don't fucking get out for anything. Yeah. But like, you do get this feeling like, how much longer can you do this without twisting the pressure valve just a bit, just to fucking release some of that, you know what I mean? To go like, look, we're doing all this plundering here, but you get rent freeze for a few years. It was like, no, we're not even going to give you that. It's not even like in the American election where he won't even give you the Green New Deal, as in like, we won't do something that'll make the future better. It's like, we won't give you anything that will make your present situation any better. And, you know, and also that makes this virus fucking worse, you know?
I know, but like, what was I going to say?
Sorry.
No.
Just
Okay.
that they're not doing anything for a public good. Like, what is in their head that they're making these decisions? Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot.
Sorry.
Completely forgot. It's fine.
No.
No,
I don't know what. And I'm in fucking despair. I'll be honest. I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah,
like-
it was what I was.
Yeah.
It was that like Irish people are very passive, but like when there's leadership, they do come out.
Yeah.
Like the water protest is the biggest thing. It's like
Yeah.
people would say the criticism was that it was a relatively minor issue,
Mm-hmm.
but like it was important to people. But also there was like the leadership by people like Paul Murphy who
Mm-hmm.
were there to like organize.
Yeah.
You know, so you would hope that people will respond to the people I see trying to lead at the moment, like at an activist level. Hopefully, there'll be some response to that.
You'd
But
hope. I
it's
mean,
not
like,
given at any. You
no,
know?
but like, and it boils down to the fucking media. I'm like, I hate to fucking do this old chestnut, but like, Paul Murphy and all these people. I mean, Paul Murphy is getting, thankfully, a bit more time on the air for like all the stuff that he's done. But like, like Sinn Féin are in a real driver's seat position. They could be like going out there and really ratcheting shit up, but they're kind of like on autopilot until they can be in power, essentially. Do you know what I mean? I really don't feel like Mary Lou is in it. Do you know what I mean?
Part of me wonders, are they just trying to play good so that people will realize that they can be in power? Is that their thinking?
Maybe. I mean,
They're like, people thought we'd be a shit show,
yeah,
and now we have a chance to show them that we'll be quote unquote responsible, which really just means conservative.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing, is because obviously they put on the neoliberal costume, I thought, when they ran for election before, it was away from the kind of Chucky or Law, Republican, whatever. It was sort of like, we've got like our suits on and our suit pants, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And
both.
yeah, and just kind of like going out there and just being practical and reasonable, and
That's it.
and
But really, they just take any garb that will get them 32 counties.
yeah. But like the thing about I don't know what to say. I think that my main criticism would be, it's basically the tactic that is being adopted by Starmer and the Democrats in America, which is this idea to, on some level, not like politically, thankfully here, but like to kind of go right. Do you know what I mean? And when I say right, like to wear the garb and the costume of a conservative, because that's what real politicians look like, and that seeds the ground to these people who set the parameters of what real politics is. Do you know?
That's it.
Maybe
but
it's,
like, that's what happens here as well. Like, I just haven't heard that much criticism of the like violent fascists on the streets of Dublin.
Alarming.
But I've heard more about the left criticising and bullying within the Dáil. Do you know what I mean?
Or you'd even hear more about, obviously, fucking, the Troubles. Like, the Troubles gets brought up all the time, and then there's actual fucking fascists on the street now, and it's like, we can't talk about this because we have to talk about the Troubles,
Yeah. Like, if you were at the Taoiseach and you were aware of armed weapon fascists, like attacking people, you would think you'd come out pretty fucking strongly against it, considering there's a far right resurgence in Europe.
I'm pretty sure that they're not clued in, obviously, but also they truly don't give a shit, and it's literally just, we'll put out this fire, take the money as much as we can, for as long as possible. Nothing is about like a public good or anything that would serve the interests of people, and that the only way that it can be viewed is as a hoarding by these elites,
Yeah. I'm freaking flicking Martin me all off.
You're flicking them off.
Yeah.
I think that doesn't mean the same. You
No,
flick somebody
it does.
off, and they're like, you flip them off. You don't flick them off.
Oh yeah.
Because when you flick them off, that's like,
He's coming.
I got his prostate here,
Yeah.
fucking flicking them off,
Yeah.
and smacking them on the head as well,
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's why it's very hard at the moment with Irish politics, you just kind of tend to look over towards America, where it's like, can we just fucking, like, people who don't affect my life, but who are more like good guys and bad guys, as opposed to here, where it's just this fucking endless string of banality that just destroys people's lives, but is just so fucking painfully dull,
Yeah.
Like, and that then nothing will be done about it, and that they're looking at you, and like, when they do look at you, they're just telling you that it's not possible. And I'm sorry, I wish there was more we could do. And that's been their kind of thing from the get-go, Fine Gael. And now that they're in Fianna Fáil, I mean, people say like, oh, Fianna Fáil are in government. It's like, not really. It's still a continuation of the same old shit, because like, it was a confidence and supply agreement with Fine Gael, fucking figuring out these, I guess, ways of communication that mean that they essentially have leadership roles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Fine Gael also know that if there's an election tomorrow, they do better than Fianna Fáil.
But like,
so they have like the cards,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just feeling like, yeah, it reminds me of that David O'Doherty joke where he was talking about the recession, and he's like, it's amazing when your life gets fucked up by things that you couldn't give a shit about. He's like, come out in the morning and your car is gone, and you go, what happened to my car? And they go, badminton. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
It's just like the frustration. There's nobody to point. There's nobody to blame. There's nobody who will answer. And then the people who will answer aren't. They're not doing it. Like Sinn Féin could be on the fucking Debenhams picket line and really making a meal of this, thing. I'm say make a meal in the positive way,
Yeah, like a nice meal.
Yeah, like a lovely fucking plate of fish and chips, because that's what I'm having.
Yeah, I'm thinking of roast chicken.
Yeah, that was a good chicken. Let's be honest. Come on, that was good chicken.
Come on, man. That was good chicken.
But like, they're not, and then the thing that they're doing is, maybe people could say, oh yeah, but they're in a position tactically where they have to do this, and it's like, I don't know. I would really personally, and maybe this is foolish, in a moment where everything is falling apart, I'd rather have the ideals and the politics rather than the long game strategy, because I feel like over time that long game strategy just becomes your policy, and then you become that thing.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it's always better. It's better to be pandered to, even symbolically, than to be ignored. And at every level. Do you know what I mean? Which is
what people still don't seem to understand with Trump. It's like they never think that he's going to deliver on this shit. It's just that he even makes a gesture towards it and acknowledges a problem.
That's it. Like, wouldn't it be cool if Radko was like, we're going to try to get you that 4 weeks of employment wage.
Yeah, the fact he's just like, well, we can't do that.
He's like, we can't, it's illegal. It's like, don't say it's illegal. Just say you can't for some reason. Do you know what I mean?
Just say it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
just
it's the same as saying
just say
we can't.
I identify more with the people fucking you over than you as people.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he couldn't say that because then he wouldn't get a seat, but it would be a lovely world to live in, to just be like, everybody knows that you're getting fucked over, but they don't feel the need to like lie to you about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's stupid. I don't know.
Watch that incel documentary.
Incel documentary. Tell me all about it. What was it called again?
TFW.
TFW.
Meaning?
The face when?
No. Just means no. GF.
Is it? The face when?
This face when.
Alright. That feel when, apparently.
Yes.
That feel when no GF.
Yeah.
So, and GF stands for Garfield.
Yeah, Gilbert
just Garfield. Stands for
Go on.
Goku friend.
What does that mean?
Goku is a character from Dragon Ball Z. I haven't
much about him. Cool.
Anyway.
It stands for Crash Bandicoot's girlfriend.
God, I can't wait to play that game. Can I seriously borrow your PlayStation to play that game? Is that possible at all?
Yeah. I'll bring it next time.
That would be amazing. Well, whenever the game's released, and then I'll ask you, please.
I think it's out. So I was over reviewing it.
Don't lie to me. I've actually like blocked Canadian Guy A because I don't want to see any of the spoilers.
It's so funny that you think the game could be spoiled.
Tauna is in it and Dingo Dial. How are they going to reconcile those? You know.
Yeah.
Things, you know.
It's hardcore fucking the third level.
Yes. Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. I'm
Just
looking
fucking
it up.
googling.
Oh, you're fucking right. It's October 2nd, bitch. It's been out for 2 days. God damn. All right. Yeah. So can I'll buy that game, and then if you can download it on the internet up there or wherever you're at, and then bring it here.
Look up how much it is, and then I'll just buy it when I'm home.
Please don't buy it for me. Like.
No, but give me the cash.
Oh yeah, cool. What we could do is we could go half on it if you wanted.
I do not want to play this game.
All right. Well, that's fine. So I guess would you buy it on Steam?
No, at the PS4 store.
This is really entertaining for people, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I think it is. I would love to see it. Anytime somebody's doing this on a podcast, I find it fun.
The real moment.
The real moment.
Yeah.
And this is getting left in.
Some guy's fucking coming because there's a new Crash Bandicoot
Oh,
game.
it's 60 beans. That's a lot, but I don't know. I might.
Is it worth it?
It's not, but I might do it anyway, just because I
Okay.
really want to play it. Just because I want a fucking reprieve from this awful world, you know?
Well, then PayPal me 60 quid and I'll buy it. Then I'll bring it with me next time I'm coming.
Nice, I'll do that. Oh yeah, just for the record, I actually just bought a PS4 so I could play Crash Bandicoot, so I can never make fun of a certain Canadian YouTuber ever again. So anyhow, ASL.
Yeah.
My Face When.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Honestly, tell me about this documentary.
So it's about incels,
Yeah.
right? And it follows 4 incels. And like, I read about 3 or 4 things about like quote unquote incels and the 4chan population. You always have this weird thing where the person making the film is like half in love with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then generally, sometimes I think it's like they pity them so much that they don't challenge them in anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So what you're seeing is like 4 like online trolls just talking without any sense of having to justify anything they say whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an hour and a half long. And it's just like this guy being like, yeah, it's all just a bit of fun, you know? Nothing serious, just a bit of irony. And like, so there's this, I mean, they're all the same. There's like 3 guys who are just stupid idiots who just post all day about how lonely they are. And then there's one guy called Cantbot, and he's supposed to be like intellectual.
Right.
Right? But like, you never heard any of this stuff before, you would think it's intellectual. But like, you and I would both know that it's bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's this bit where he's talking about like, every tweet has an unrealized potential, and it could be, you know, in theory, used for like a great philosophical insight. But it's like, you and I both know that's just a justification for like waxing philosophically on Twitter.
But also, it's like he's referring to something. He's like, oh, every tweet is a lost, whatever. It's like any fucking page.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like exclusive to Twitter, and more often than not, anything that's put to Twitter, predominantly, you can expect is going to be shit. Do you know what I mean?
I know, and like, there's also this thing of he references a philosopher who wrote extremely short like points, and his books are essentially collections of points, and he compares that to his Twitter. But with that book, he didn't just like write the points. He like re-edited them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He like thought about each point. But this guy
curated it even probably.
Yeah. Whereas this guy's just tweeting shit. Like I looked up his timeline, and his stuff was like, "Hey, I had to go to the dentist today. That sucks," you know. And then it'd be like, "The sublime is an intrinsic part of life," you know. It was just meaningless gibberish.
I like I was thinking as you were saying that about there was like some book that I saw somebody had posted on like Imgur like back in the day. It's like a video game book, and at the start they like started it off with a quote, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, all that is not saved will be lost.
Yes.
And it was like the opening screen of like an Atari game or whatever the fuck. But anyhow, it is amazing. Like people like stuff, you know, like this, and to them it's new and it's current and it's recent. and then the people get into it and they start like trying to dissect it and try to add weight to it from like academia and professional stuff. But what they end up doing is just describing pretty obvious stuff, except in a kind of highfalutin way almost.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, all that is not saved will be lost. What is the meaning of that expression? It means that if you don't, stop to savor things, then you'll
lose the progress. You'll lose the progress.
You're like, you know what I mean? You need to stop and smell the roses. But like there's about 1 million fucking expressions irrelevant to video games, independent of video games, that would carry that sentiment.
Yeah.
But because of its association with the video game, it gives it more meaning. It's like, wow, I've seen that all the time. And it means like, actually, God, I'd never even thought about the relevance. And it's like, no, there's no relevance. There's nothing. That is just an item. That is just like,
Yeah.
Like.
And then like, if you think it's true, it doesn't even mean, like, all that is not saved. Like, as a human being, you don't save things.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That's not how your fucking brain works.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember them, or you like cherish them. You don't just save them.
Yeah.
Like saving as a word even implies like you're not valuing it, you're just keeping it. Like you save items or like a bit of food or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not, you don't save a memory. You don't save.
Yeah. Bring that in the data bank for later.
Exactly.
My 20th birthday.
Yeah. So then, that guy, and the camera is just like in love with these guys. And they're just talking about how they're so sad and lonely. And then, I mean, up to a point it's true. It's like these guys have been left behind. For whatever reason, they've struggled. And they're experiencing like arrested development. But then so it shows these like screenshots of their tweets. Yeah. But then some of their tweets are racist. Yeah. But it doesn't ever examine that. So there's one that's supposed to be this guy is like, hey, when you're young, they just fill you up with pills, and then you can't do anything. It's like, well, maybe that's true. And then that's highlighted. And if you look down the tweet chain, there's one near the bottom, and it's like, and they expect you to be as good at sports as the colored kids who are just good at it for quote unquote no reason. He's saying black kids are more athletic, and it's like you're just letting that go by. The documentary maker has no reason to interrogate that idea. Yeah, he's just happy to let this guy wallow. Yeah. So I was watching it with two guys in their 40s who just weren't aware of the context of these guys. Yeah. So when we were talking afterwards, they were like, those guys are sort of like romantic, and I really could see where they're coming from. And then I was like, well, actually, there's a lot of like racism in these spaces and misogyny, and there's like a lot of very ugly anger. Yeah. That you did not see through that documentary. And that's a really common thing. It's like either they'll be like completely ignore the ugliness, or you'll get these things where they're all like Dylan Roof. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like I always think that especially like people from a certain age bracket are more susceptible to the idea of like this kind of lonely man. You know what I mean? Yeah. I always find that, and it's like I was like grew up on the internet, and I experienced these like lonely men and these lonely people, and people jumping into message boards and forums and leaving these comments that are just like awful, and that's just to try and like wind you up or just to hurt, Now that you can see the content of these people's minds, it's like fucking ugly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I remember the story. There's a like lonely kid in some school in Dublin, and that's sort of an attractive idea. The lonely kid, it's like your man out of Catcher in the Rye. Yeah. Then someone found his diary, and they read through it, and the whole thing was like goblins raping girls in his school that he knew. Yeah. It's like, it's pretty ugly. Yeah, I mean, like, I think about this with fucking Yates. Like, imagining, like, Yates is in, like, was he fucking a guy who went after, like, a 15-year-old and... was she 15? Oh, yeah, Maud God's daughter. And then he went after, like, her daughter or something, or is that crazy about that? Yeah. Basically, he just has this kind of, like... there are so many people that would see that as, like, he's just a hopeless romantic. He just couldn't help himself or whatever. And there's a kind of parallel with like all the incel stuff. Like
with Jordan Peterson, like he's talking about the chaotic feminine and all this type of shit. And then when he talks about the incel who drove into some women on the street, he's like, I just feel bad that there was nobody there for it. And it's like, it's amazing who these people reserve their sympathy for, or like...
That's it, because they always... Like, I understand the thing to be like, it's sad there's no one there for him.
Yeah.
But he says that without also saying...
Yeah.
Like, he killed fucking loads of people.
Yeah.
That's really bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he would never say... he never talk about how destructive the act is. He only talks about how negative a frame of mind the actor was in.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they never talk about the ultimate cause of these things, which is sort of like the fact that we're all completely alienated in modern society. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like...
Yeah, well, they don't want to, because that would be, you know... I think, like... Well, first of all, people like Jordan Peterson don't want to, because that would actually undermine their whole fucking thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, he's more comfortable relegating that role to, like, the female. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, one of the big issues is the lack of... He calls it forced monogamy, which is actually a pretty bad term for what he's describing. Yeah. He's just talking about, like, culturally norm monogamy, or monogamy is a cultural norm. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's not talking about shotgun weddings. He's talking about the idea that you get married. Yeah. But he sort of blames that
on women,
alienation,
like, and the expectation that, like, oh, you know what? You think that you're going to get some beautiful guy? Well, you're not. You're going to get me. Yeah. And why don't you just like, and yeah, what is ignored by that is, like, you know, the personality of an individual like that, because they're always basing it on, like, physical stuff. They believe that women don't want them because they're fucking ugly, rather than that they're just shitty people. You know?
It, like, ignores the fact that now modern women are placed in a similar situation as the men. Do you know what I mean? Jordan Peterson speaks only to men. Yeah. And like, that's fine at certain levels, but he's speaking at such a fundamental level that he's saying, like, this experience of alienation is the male experience, as opposed to the universal experience.
Which is so grim. Like, I mean, that you could actually think that, you know? Yeah. And I think that, you know, the other thing I was going to say then is, like, you know, it doesn't suit Jordan Peterson to investigate that further, because it doesn't, you know, it's not lucrative for him. And then it doesn't suit these people to investigate it any further, because they might actually have to ask some difficult questions about themselves. So as soon as they come across something that's ugly in their own personality, then they make it somebody else's problem.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
So it's like, well, actually, you know, like, to me, I'm gonna be honest, like, when I was 18, I moved up to Dublin, okay, and I was kind of in the, you know, I was in Galway, and I went to a school where I didn't really feel all that recognized by my peers, you know, and I would be in these online circles, and I would be getting kind of alienated and angry, and, you know, picking up these fucking talking points and just accepting there's a kind of, like, there's a median person. Yeah. And the median person, I was unaware in my head, was just a fucking white man. Yeah. Cis heterosexual, you know? And, you know, I remember getting to college and having, like, some real difficulty with some of the things, because there was people up there who were just, like, there was, like, Dublin girls who had just, like, been in, like, you know, they go to parties and stuff. Yeah, I was at a party, and, like, you know, there was a lot of promiscuity with all this stuff, which I wouldn't have gone to parties or anything, and I wouldn't have known people. Yeah. And it would have seemed alien to me, and then as a result, it was very threatening. It was like, these women, like, fuck, like, they're more experienced than I am, and I'm just a fucking worm, you know? You start to get kind of, like, cross at them, you know? But then I remember, like, it took so long to beat this into my head, but my friends, you know, not many people would have the patience for this, but she was very carefully, basically managed to, if it hit one day, I remember, because we were in a canteen, but I was just always, woe is me, you know, all these fucking women, I'm approaching them, I'm being really nice, and they just won't give me a chance, you know? And she was like, tried to put it in context of, like, you know, when you go up to this person, that isn't the first time that somebody has come up to them that night to say the things that you're going to say to them, and they might not want to hear that, you know what I mean? So, like, maybe think about it, like, so simple. So, you know what I mean? But, like, the thing is, once you're in those circles and getting insulated and in on top of it, and having all those thoughts, like, reaffirmed, and, you know, it's very hard to break out of those patterns and cycles of or seeing people as independent entities. Do you know what I mean? They might have so many other reasons for not wanting to get with you. Do you know what I mean? And then on top of that, like I was like bullied in school because I had like long hair, and they would kind of make fun of me for being like a fucking like bitch woman. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But I didn't realize I don't think I realized how much that was imprinting on me, the idea of traditional man roles and putting a chip on my shoulder of trying to be this. I was like, oh, the women just want that masculine kind of thing, and it's 100% not true, obviously. You know what I mean? I mean, some women do, but it's like some men want like super,
trad wives.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's the whole thing. It's like it's just different strokes for different folks, but for some reason these people get it into their heads that actually things are a certain way, and if you're not conforming to them, then you're against me. And they kind of, I don't know, it's just the fucking base code of the internet almost. It's these people, they talk in like fucking racial slurs or getting to kind of edgelord territory where they're provoking people, and they turn themselves into these islands and then get miserable as a result.
They've sort of romanticized the depression as well.
Exactly.
And like the racism thing, they managed to hold as an irony, partly because like you're online, so you're only seeing who's actively participating in the conversation. And if a black guy sees like a thread full of the N-word, he's obviously not going to participate. So these people live in like a very white male environment, so like I can very easily see how they hold that thing of like, oh no, it's just ironic. Me saying the N-word is just ironic because they never confronted about it. Do you know what I mean?
There's two things. One is what you're saying in relation to what you're saying. Louis C.K. had a bit, unfortunately, R.I.P. his reputation and everything. It's such a shame because he has so many amazing like insights. I always feel like he was like one of these ambassadors to that awful, disgusting world, because he would be on Opie and Anthony, and I just remember him talking to Opie, who's a tremendous racist, and Opie's like, and I lived in a poor neighborhood and I didn't fucking steal from my neighbor, and then don't bring up slavery because that ended ages ago. And then Louis C.K. was like, well, it's not like everything was fine after that. What he said is, if you see a black man who's got grey in his temples, there's a time in his life where he wasn't allowed to use a certain bathroom, and there's all that stuff. So he's a kind of an ambassador he's talking. But this one thing he said is like, he hates mobile phones, and so he doesn't want his daughters to have any of it, because he's like, when you say an insult to somebody on a mobile phone or something, you don't get to see the hurt of it landing, and you need to feel that pain, otherwise you can just go around just doing that. It's a bit simplistic, but it is exactly what you're saying. It's like they're in these circles where it's like, oh, this doesn't mean anything, and you're just shutting down my free speech. I should be allowed to say whatever I want. And it's like, say that to somebody like in front of them, and don't be like, oh, they might attack me. Say it thinking like, how are they going to feel like when I say that,
Yeah, and then the worst bit is that these guys are guys who you're like, say that to somebody, and they're like, who? I don't know anybody. Like, they don't know anybody to say it to. So like, they're stuck where they are because they're fucked.
I remember there was one thing I wanted to bring up as well, which is like the transgressive edgelord shit, which is kind of part and parcel with this, and it kind of reinforces the other shit. But it's amazing how you can be in these circles and you can just forget that that's not how people talk. Like one of the things I saw was there was a Steam game that was released years ago, and this guy, so it got released, and let's say, I don't know the terminology of stuff, but it was in alpha and it was going into beta. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then there's like generally, I think it's like the full game or release or
something like that. But either way, they had mislabeled it as alpha, and it had gone on the front page. But so it's tremendous, boost to your sales to go on the front page of Steam. And this guy was really excited about it, but when he saw the thing, he noticed that it said alpha, and he knew that, fuck, this is going to be affecting these people, and he just started freaking out, and he didn't know. He emailed them, and 2 minutes went by, it wasn't changed immediately. Nobody responded. And he's just freaking out. And then he starts writing like these forum posts and these tweets, and he starts tagging Gabe Newell in it, going, "I'll fucking kill you, Gabe Newell."
Really?
You know what I mean? Like, change the thing. This is such a fucking joke. This is a bullshit. And then he just took down his game altogether. But his defense was like, he was in genuine shock that, first of all, that Gabe Newell might have read those death threats, but also that he wouldn't have received them as a sort of joke. Like, realized that, like, oh, this doesn't mean anything. Death threats are just what you say in the forums and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they come up with a different way of speaking. They get incredibly insular, and then once they're exposed to the outside world, it kind of reinforces that. It's like,
that's it.
know, the community. Like,
there's one guy, and he grew up in an alcoholic household.
Yeah.
And then he moved in with his friend. He was there all his life. And he was like, they asked him to describe his day. And he's like, I wake up and I shower. It's like, you wake up at noon, have a shower. And then, like, you got the vibe that he didn't shower. Like, not making fun of him, but just like, I think he said he was showering to imply he had a bit of structure. Do you know what I mean? And then he was like, I just go on Twitter, and then my friend comes home, and we live together, and we just do what he wants to do. And they're sort of like, you follow them around, they're always on Twitter and stuff. And it's like, this guy doesn't meet anybody at all.
Yeah.
Apart from his friend. And he is probably now at a point where he can't hold down a job. He's half an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is the remedy to that?
Well, do you know what? Like, and it sounds naive and stupid, but like for example, in Japan, I believe that they had people who were basically like trapped in online forums and just chatting to people. And there was another thing where it's like they would be in like World of Warcraft or something, and they realized that this had become such a problem that they set up support groups to try and get people back into the real world.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's naive to say, like, you know, fucking maybe we should set up some government saying we should just take it seriously. It's basically it. It should be that there's support groups, and it should be like Alcoholics Anonymous or anything, where it's just like you show up, you meet people, you talk to them, but it's in a controlled environment. But like, I don't know how you get people to believe that these people who are going to be facilitating these things are, you know, it's not just some like bullshit thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they just love the people that they like. But there is something to be said about like just not dismissing it, but also not tolerating it, I should say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like to say like to not dismiss it, like the racism is an issue, and that's like got to fucking go, and that's just not sustainable. And you can't have a conversation with somebody like that. But
well, you can't.
Yeah, no, you can. But what I mean is like, if they won't let that go, then it's kind of like, how are you to be a part of like a society or a community? Yeah,
like it's sort of almost like you have reactive racism and then entrenched. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like there are some people who, no matter what their circumstances are, they'll be racist.
Yeah,
but then like I've known people who get depressed, don't have a job, and become racist. Yeah. And then when they get the job and their life improves, they're not really racist anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so obviously a symptom, because like it's a symptom of a deeper problem.
I think that the reason people have such difficulty doing this for people is because of the money thing, is that usually they're middle class or affluent and they're white and they're able to, you know, they don't feel it, but they have more power than, you know.
I don't think, like, a lot of these guys they didn't seem middle class.
Well, like, I mean, you know, maybe this is me just being like, you know, but like the idea of being able to be online all the time and to have a kind of access to, you know, I mean, everybody's got access to the internet now, I suppose, but like
all they need is a phone, and then they can just do like some shitty job that they hate.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah. And well, like
this guy, like there's one guy who was definitely, like you say, the middle class white guy. He was living in New York, and it's hard to imagine that he was not doing anything. Then there was some guy just living like, and like the white thing is also an issue of like, you know, like incel isn't really a term. It's not a real demographic of people. It's just like the media's created this narrative of like young
Yeah.
like young lads on the internet who post all the time. It's like there's lots of people like that,
Yeah.
you know? Like there are women who are addicted to online. They just
Yeah.
occupy different spaces and interact with it differently. Do you know what I mean? Like you hear, you know that there's thinspiration sites.
Mm.
They're like female incels.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Thin cells.
What?
Thin cells.
Incels. It's just like the media likes this idea. It's easy to sell this young, cause part of the thing is that like, say this documentary was following 4 young black lads around,
Mm.
it wouldn't have been in love with them
Yeah.
the way this was.
Well, it might have been. Like,
It
I'd say-
wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't.
Really? Do you think?
No, like 4 young black lads posting death threats online, holding guns.
Oh.
It, like-
yeah, like that.
it
No, I was
would-
thinking. Sorry, I was just thinking more like the way they have like it's become a cliche in movies that the actors who have these vanity projects, they'll be like, I'm supporting inner city youths and we've set up a basketball team and a community center and all this.
Yeah.
It's like those are real things. I mean, it's taken for granted that those are legitimate things to create outreach programs for disengaged black youths. But like, this is the way that it manifests with white people, is just being angry and posting online and buying guns and being racist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, there are probably plenty of black guys online in America who just sit around all the time and post death threats. It's just the media doesn't like them because they're perceived
That's
as,
true, yeah.
they're perceived as dangerous, as opposed to being perceived as these, chronically depressed romantic
I guess it's
individuals.
because it's the presumption that like, oh, the white people should be in a better place.
It's the media being like, this is easy to sell. It's like we can sell these white guys, like you say. It's like,
Well, then it seems like they're obviously disenfranchised because they should have more. Whereas if you're a black person who doesn't have more and you're angry and online and posting, then you don't exist, because it's like, well, your life should be shit. So
yeah.
But I mean, the way I would approach it, and it's kind of, first of all, I just think, you need like physical outreach programs where people are meeting people and that the ideas are being exposed to actual light, And I do think, for what I said earlier on, you need to be sympathetic to people being fucking racist a little bit until they're not racist, hopefully, fingers crossed, or at least at a level that is not, antithetical to, the goal of society. But then the bigger project is just to fix society on a whole so that there's a sense of community and belonging to something. But yeah, no, I mean, that's easier said than done, obviously. But like, I guess overall with the documentary, because in comparing it to other, I haven't seen the documentary that you've watched, but like, I've seen Grey Gardens.
No.
So like, Grey Gardens is like about these cousins of the Kennedys, essentially.
Yeah.
So they have this wealth, but
Those easy two, they live together too.
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's a mother and a daughter who are like the cousins of the Kennedys, and they talk exactly like them. And they were given like a mansion, and then they were just left to their own devices. They now have like fuck all money, and the whole mansion has fallen into disrepair, and this guy has just gone as like an observer to these people. So he plants the camera, and then these people just like, my mother always said I could be a dancer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, is it a little bit exploitative? Maybe, but it is also interesting to get a window into these people. But he offers no opinion at all on what's happening on screen. And then you have people like Errol Morris, who like film people, and it's like he seems to be captivated by certain subjects, and then maybe he lets them off a little bit too much, because I was remembering a time where he interviewed Trump like before all the president stuff and asking him what his favorite movie was, and Trump said Citizen Kane, and then just described the Wikipedia plot to Citizen Kane.
The word rosebud is maybe the most significant word in film, in what we all watch. The wealth, the sorrow, the unhappiness, the happiness just struck lots of different notes. Citizen Kane was really about accumulation. And at the end of the accumulation, you see what happens, and it's not necessarily all positive. I think you learn in Kane that maybe wealth isn't everything, because he had the wealth, but he didn't have the happiness.
No, if you could give Charles Foster Kane advice, what would you say to him?
Get yourself a different woman.
Citizen Kane. And then he goes, it was terrible, you know, like, and it was a tragedy, it was a rosebud, da, da, da. And then it's like, what would you say to John Foster Kane or Arthur Foster Kane or whatever his name was in the movie? He's like, get a new girl. Like, clearly doesn't get it at all.
Yeah.
But he was allowed to kind of, he does that with these monsters. He puts them up there and it's like, oh, we're getting an insight into these people. And it's like, well, no, it's carefully cultivated. They're in on it. They don't give a shit. You know?
It's like, they're not even in on it. They're allowed free reign over their representation.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess where does it fall on that scale then, you know, with this thing?
It's literally like the Trump thing.
Yeah.
It's like, because like, if you're depressed and lie about it all the time,
Yeah.
you're not going to be given like a harsh critique of your own life. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's going to be warped.
Yeah.
And like, if you're like, yeah, I post the N-word all day and like, post pictures of me pretending to shoot myself in the head.
Yeah.
And then it was just a joke. It's supposed to be a bit of fun.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't even seem to go like, what's funny about that?
Yeah.
You know? He's not even like, is it really funny or is there some truth to it?
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, it's just a bit of a joke.
But he's not even letting them exist then either. He's just kind of like, you know what I mean? Given that what you were saying about not highlighting the racism or looking at it, it's like you are portraying them sympathetically, but then also not challenge them at all, you know?
Exactly. And like, part of me wondered if like, well, so I thought this, and then I read another book ages ago. It was about a woman who's like, is going into 4chan.
Yeah.
And she sort of falls in love with the lads in there.
Mm.
And I wondered like, and it seemed to be that because she was so unfamiliar with it, she took a lot of their stuff at face value.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And I wonder whether this guy, was he so familiar with it?
Yeah.
That he was too sympathetic, that he didn't want to challenge himself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was he like, if I ask, is this racist? Is that a question I have to like follow through to his logical end?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But anyway, it was it completely let them off, not let them off the hook, but like completely failed to interrogate any idea it brought.
Well, that's also doing a disservice to them, if anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's not like giving them more credence. I mean, I know that some 40-something-year-old people felt sorry for them, but like everybody else who's watching that below that age knows that they're full of shit. You know
exactly,
what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think like I do think that's something that's definitely worth investigating. The feeling of generations that would be like older than us and not that much older than us, you know, which is like this sensitivity to these fucking guys who do these awful things, you know.
But like, this is why you need to remove, I don't know, like, I keep talking about the media because like it creates this like racialized lens.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like talking about these white guys, and it's like, you know, there's like Buddhist phrase. It's like the feeling is real.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like the emotion is real, but the action is not.
Yeah.
So it's like they're feeling something real.
Yeah.
Like despair.
Yeah.
And lots of people are feeling that.
Yeah.
And they're acting out in different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the thin fluoration stuff, anorexia, like a lot of the time that's a response to despair.
Yeah.
You know, even like violent crime in like, say, black urban gangs in London.
Yeah.
That's a response to like immiseration.
Yeah.
So like to be like these white guys are experiencing despair. The rest of them, it's just fucked up, isn't it? You know, that's fucked up how modern society is. It's just untrue. It's like not an accurate analysis of what's going on.
And again, you're bang on. It's just the idea that it's a very narrow window by which to look at it through, because you know, like I was talking about, maybe we should have like support groups for stuff like that. You don't go like, we're like in incels anonymous, or we're targeting like the white group. You should just make it broad, like chronically online anonymous.
Exactly.
You know? Something where it's like recognizing, because I think this is the problem as well, is the internet has not been recognized as the mental illness that it is. Do you know what I mean? Because to have a computer and basically be attached to every single person in the world every hour of the day and be able to say whatever thought came into your head,
Yeah.
it fucks people up, and it has. You know?
And it's so well known that like the people who make these things, I think it's been said, it's like they don't let their kids use it.
Yeah, and they incentivize it to be like, it's said, obviously, the pleasure center is the brain. It's like, oh, I like that. You got to like that. And, you got this type and you retweets and blah, 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 blah. And, and they recognize how fucked up it is. But, like, the thing about it is, everything needs to be online because you got your business. You put your business online and it's like the phone book or something. But, like, and that's kind of where it falls apart. It's both. It's a kind of straddling this two things, which is, it is a public amenity. It's like the phone. Do you know what I mean? But also, it's a public health crisis in that it's something that is unprecedented and kind of creates issues in people's brains. It fucks up their chemistry, and like it's kind of just needs to be treated like differently to the way it is.
Yeah.
As more like, hey, online is for goofing off with your friends, one. Or, hey, online is for your business or to keep in touch with people. It's like, no, it's more than that now.
Yeah.
That is fucking over. Those days of 97 where it's like, oh, you're telling me I can look up a picture of Pamela Anderson wearing just a bikini? Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's at my fingertips. You know what I mean? The World Wide Web. It's like, no, that's not it anymore. Now it's on your phones. It's hanging in the air around you. It's bleeding into your brain, and I think it probably really truly died, the internet, from the 90s. It truly died with Trump becoming president, because that was like an angry man online. Everything that he does is decreed from this online thing. Suddenly you have the media going, well, as Trump tweeted out today, and there's like hundreds to choose from, and and I'm not saying he's an anomaly. He's an example of many. It's just it reaching the mainstream in such a way like that was it. Like now there's no avoiding it. It does kill everybody's head.
There's no gap now between the internet and real life, because there's a guy tweeting online policies that directly affect people's lives. Yeah,
nobody can say anymore like they used to be like, God, like what happened when people started sharing tweets? I was saying this, like, God, they're sharing tweets. This is so, you know what I mean? Like they would kind of go like, I'm not on that Twitter thing. I wouldn't really know that much. You can't say that now. You can't even. One of the funnier ones, if you go back to an episode of The Thick of It, there's a bit where it's like, she's tweeting about this, and they go like, what's Twitter? And they feel the need to explain what Twitter is. Probably, obviously, because of the time period, you need to explain. But it also shows like a kind of weird lack of like it was like any other social media thing. It was like fucking Bebo or something. Yeah. Oh, it's inconquerable until it's not, or it's MySpace. It's there and then it's dead. Yeah. But I mean, Twitter obviously is probably going to have its day as well. But the thing about it is, social media is forever changed as a result of the fucking character limit and the rhetoric that is provoked by Twitter as a program, or a platform.
Yeah.
Anyway, best case example, Graham Linehan. Read a tweet of his from 2009. Read a tweet of his from, I mean, you can't now because his account's gone.
Yeah.
But read a tweet of his from 2009. Then read a tweet of his from 2018. And you see the exact effect that the internet has on people.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was a lot. How many bags of popcorn out of 100 would you give Incel movie?
Popcorn.
Yeah.
10.
10 bags of popcorn.
I know it's still a lot of popcorn, but
no, it's 10 out of 100.
I know, but it's still a lot of popcorn to eat. So I would say maybe 1.
Would you recommend the movie?
In terms of popcorn? No.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a very valuable document. No. It sounds like it's kind of talking about something that you could pretty much figure out by being online for 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah. Like, you might as well just have read their Twitter.
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, follow us at
Celtic Ligers.
Celtic Ligers.
And also we're on Patreon.com
Yeah, we are.
/
This is a
Celtic Ligers.
Patreon one, isn't it? Or is this
Yes, it is.
public?
Alright, let's pull it up. This is a Patreon one, or this isn't a Patreon one? Alright, so what one is this for? Superheroes. I stole it.
What?
We have to read out their names as superheroes. You know?
Sucks.
No, you do something. You go.
No,
with it.
superheroes is fine.
Comic characters, I guess.
No, superheroes.
Fine. Connor Barry.
Okay, let's get into this. Connor Barry.
Thank you, Connor Barry.
He said it has to be superheroes. Okay. He has X-ray vision, and I'll tell you why. Because there's two O's. They look like X-ray glasses.
That's pretty good. Yeah, cool. This is all right. We're off to the races.
We can't do any more that look like the word now.
Oh god damn it!
It has to
Why'd
be
you say that?
conceptually linked.
Liam McCartan.
Okay.
Thank you, Liam McCartan. Liam, he's able to leap over buildings in a single bound, just like Superman.
Okay,
That's bad.
it was really bad. Let's try another one.
We have to keep going.
No, we don't.
No, we do. There's no
No,
time. Like we don't have time.
Liam McCartan. Liam.
How about this? Okay.
Okay,
This one's very bad. All right.
fine.
Liam McCartoon, because superheroes
Yes.
are cartoons.
Well, what? I mean, what if we like? Lots of things are cartoons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what if his superpower was he was a cartoon,
Okay.
so he could do all the things cartoons do.
Yeah. There is actually a superhero who does do that.
So he could he's eating dinner and he's full, but his mum's like, you have to finish.
Mm.
So he draws a hole in the ground,
Yeah.
and then he pours his dinner in there.
I
And
was
then,
thinking Spider Pig is kind of like
and then
that.
he zips it back up.
Or what?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Spider Ham. Sorry. Anyway,
Okay.
Spider Pig is from The Simpsons. Claire O'Neilan.
This is a tough one. What about Claire O'No one? And she can turn.
Invisible.
No, that's not what I was going to say. She can go out of existence.
Okay. Niall McGillicool.
Not interested in that one at all.
Let's move on. Niall McGillicool, thank
Uh,
you, and thank you, Claire. Niall McGillicool, he'll be like cool powers, freeze.
What about
you know?
Niall fill a pool? He can fill pools with water.
Okay, good.
He can make it rain to fill pools.
Yeah. Ronan Carey.
Ronan Scary.
It's very funny. Every single one we just did is Ronan Scary.
Yeah. Ronan Scary because he has power to scare people.
Yeah. Okay. Ronan Scary. Neve Kelly.
Neve. Shelley. She writes Frankenstein.
Yeah, and Frankenstein is the world's first superhero
Yeah.
because he was created by like lightning or some shit.
Yeah.
Frankenstein's monster, I should say. I nearly let that one slide. Paulie Doyle.
Paulie.
Wrecking Bally Doyle.
Yes.
That's pretty bad.
Fine.
Sorry.
We'll go with that.
Joe Joyce. Actually, I got one for this.
Okay, it better be good.
You won't like it, but it is good.
Okay.
Joe Joyce, JJ Jameson from the Spider-Man. He's the editor. Parker, I need those photos on my desk.
Okay. Just be clear. His name's Joe Joyce. Right.
Yeah.
So we don't only got
JJ Jameson.
Right. So you just add in. Okay.
Because those are his initials. JJ.
Right. Doesn't. Like if we said Ronan Scary, people would be like, oh, that's Ronan Carey. But if we were like JJ Jameson,
Fine.
people would be
fine.
like, oh, Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce. Fuck this shit.
What about No Choice? Because he always wins. Because he's a superhero.
What about, I got one, Judge Joyce, who is a character from Judge Dredd.
This guy called Judge Joyce.
Yeah, he's Irish as well.
Really?
Yeah, he comes to Ireland, and it's written by Gareth Ennis, who actually hates Ireland, which is really funny.
How does he hate Ireland?
Well, he was
His
born
name,
in Belfast, but he
I thought you were going to say he was born in Ennis.
no, he was born in Belfast, and he writes very disparagingly about Ireland, but it's very, I find it very funny, you know.
Yeah, well, who asked him?
But one of the ones is Emerald Isle, Judge Dredd, and Stephen's Green has been reduced to 3 blades of grass and a shrub, and Judge Dredd cycles over it, and they go, "You just destroyed Stephen's Green." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, never mind." It's really good. Does he hate Irish people? I don't know. Let us know at celticligers@gmail.com. Does Gareth Ennis hate Irish people? And that's it from us.